Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today as we explore an important and complex topic, which is Greenspace gentrification. I am Abrielle Williams, and I have been a part of the Public Health Eco Literacy School, and we have been mentoring high school mentees and project based applied learning on the environmental impacts of human health. So, what is Greenspace gentrification? It's when environmental friendly projects like parks and green spaces and also urban gardens cause property values and living costs to rise in a certain area, which can lead to a displacement of low income communities. And normally in these low income communities, there are African Americans, Hispanic, Asian, and so on along the line. And how does it connect to public health or healthcare? Green space gentrification. It has many advantages. They improve public health, mitigate urban heat, enhance air quality, and also offer spaces for recreation and connection. These benefits are vital for all communities, especially in cities where access to nature is often limited. However, when these spaces are developed without considering equity, they inadvertently contribute to gentrification, which causes a rising cost of living, which make it difficult for long-time residents to remain and replacing them with wealthier populations. In Minneapolis, no area could be afforded by an African American family with a median income for about 17,000 per year for a median price apartment about 800 a month, which is based on the 2016 data. Some newly constructed or renovated green spaces lead to usage results that are concentrated upon the wealthy and tourists, which may dilute or even eliminate a sense of place and community. So, for my project implementation process, I did research on my green space gentrification and the effects, and then I created a presentation to educate my UMR peers on the topic. And then from there, I was able to introduce my art based project on the pros and cons of green space gentrification. As you can see in the photos here, for the first one, the picture shows the proper way to add green space into like communities without raising the prices. And then in the picture two, this shows what happens when there is not enough green space. It actually creates air pollution, and this affects um, your health as well as like your lungs also. And I added two more at the bottom, which shows that having community is very important and that it also improves when more green space is included. And these areas encourage a better way of life and can reduce the risk of depression, heart disease, obesity, among other chronic illnesses. As you can see at the bottom, two of the UMR peers, one stated that I think it's important to not have a big green space that can raise up prices, instead having small green spaces dispersed around the community so everyone can have access. And another UMR student stated that people that live in low income communities experience pollution that have been affected by green space gentrification, which all goes back to my project goal. And it was to raise awareness on green space gentrification by developing an art centric student activity and conducting a discussion around their insights on a presentation. So, grasping the concept of green space gentrification is crucial, as we talked about in the discussion, as it aids in discovering methods to improve cities for all residents. By focusing on these impacts, urban areas can design green spaces that serve everyone, particularly those who have been a part of these communities for a long time. So, what can we learn from this? Understanding green space gentrification teaches us the importance of thoughtful and community centered urban planning. It shows us that addressing environmental issues requires simultaneously addressing systematic inequalities. And we can reimagine green space not just as symbols of environment progress, but as opportunities to foster inclusivity and social cohesion. So when we have uneven policy making, it impacts not just the minorities, but other groups as well inside the minorities. Real estate developers donated land for parks to boost their property values, using both green space and white exclusivity as marketing tools. This was more so in the 1900s. This strategy, seen in Minneapolis and other US cities, reinforced urban green spaces as white spaces, deepening racial disparities in environmental quality. So, moving forward, how can we tackle this issue? It starts with intentional project planning. Policies should include affordable housing protections, rent controls, and community engagement to ensure that green spaces benefit everyone. Urban planners, policymakers, and residents must collaborate to create spaces that uplift without excluding. So, in conclusion, green spaces should be tools for unity and enrichment, not forces of displacement. By addressing green space gentrification head on, we can create cities that are not only greener, but fairer and more inclusive for all. Thank you for your attention, and I encourage you to think critically about how we can advocate for equitable urban development in our communities.